solution of pattern languages to societal change. Or you can call it a pattern primer. A first introduction to the pattern language approach. And on the one side, this description will be to try to make it simple, but of course, a pattern language approach is not only simple, so we will see. What is a pattern? We often hear this question when we work together with other departments within our university or with other research institutes, and when we discuss about the pattern language approach and when we talk about so many advantages, and then the first encounter with a pattern can be confusing. Is it something like a sewing pattern? No, a sew pattern is not a sewing pattern, but it certainly is, in its form, a generic template for which other objects can be based or derived. Or, of course, is it something like a wallpaper pattern? A pattern is not a geometric pattern formed of geometric shapes and typically repeated like a wallpaper, but a pattern is certainly, in its material, a discernible regularity in the world which can be repeated again and again and again. When we want to look at what is a pattern, I would like to invite you to look at the pattern from three different sides. It's like having a ball in one's hand and turning it and looking at it from one side, then from the second side, and then from the third side. What is it? The first side. A pattern is a solution to a problem. It's as simple as that. It's a way how to do something. A pattern describes a deed, an action, an undertaking, not an idea, a theory. Deep fundamental change happens because of what people do. A holistic person, he observes, reflects, summarizes, and acts. And it's the best solution to a key problem. The pattern language approach localizes and catalogs the key problems which occur over and over again in a domain and describes the one best solution to each of these problems. That means its objective is to define the key problems of society, locate the key developmental potentials in society. And a third description, a pattern is the core of a solution which can be applied in many different ways. Patterns allow freedom in deciding how to implement them. You can call them authoritarian in principle, but democratic in the implementation. Patterns take into account the context and the experience of each user. Patterns allow for development of better solutions in this way. They are quasi like seeds of culture and enable different plants to grow and to be cultivated. Two simple examples of patterns, so overly simple examples, I found in a farm in Austria, which describes a bit what a pattern is. Dry milk cans. What is the problem? The problem is milk always has a bit of milk, cans also have a bit of milk left in it at the bottom, and that gets bad, stinks, and you have a problem. And so, what is the solution? They knock the cans over and let them lie in the sun. And they've been doing that for decades and decades, maybe even hundreds of years. Ever since there have been milk cans, we don't even think about it anymore, but it's become a pattern, a way of solving a problem, a very simple problem. Or they also cut trees. Austria is a hilly place, and a similar thing, very, very simple pattern is when they cut trees on the hill, then they cut the trees fall uphill. so that the moisture, the sap in the tree can flow outwards. And it's something which they've been doing for generations. Maybe we don't even know why we're doing it that way, but that's the way we do it. So it's a solution to a problem. If we now turn the ball again a bit and look at it from a second direction, we see a pattern is something completely different. It is a quality without a name. A pattern brings about a certain quality in the things which are made from patterns. The quality which Alexander strives for can only be described indirectly. No single word can describe it fully. Different words can describe it, different aspects of this quality. So this is a fascinating aspect that patterns want to enable a certain quality. And this quality is somehow so holistic that you can't call it by one name. How can you describe it? One way of describing it is a quality of being in balance, Alexander says, free of inner contradictions, one with itself, or oneself. This word whole. Be it a building, be it a person, be it something which I make. A second word for this quality without a name is alive, a quality of being in tune, fully intense, true to one's own or its own inner forces, fully unfolded. Or a third way of describing this quality is being original, authentic, at peace with itself, or oneself, and therefore free. These three, Alexander mentioned 6, I selected 3 of them. Together, they form this quality without a name. And I think it's fascinating to have something where you feel when I make something, I also want to reach for a certain quality. And I don't know maybe how to fulfill that perfectly, but just alone the idea and this vision that this quality is important is very fascinating. Now we've turned the pattern again. We've had 2 descriptions. Now we look at the third description. What is a pattern? A pattern works towards a society which is alive and whole. Alexander says, alive. It is shown there that towns and buildings are only able to become alive unless they are made by all the people in society. This reminds us of Lincoln in the Gettysburg Address. He says, a society of the people, by the people, for the people. So you see really this vision that a pattern language is not only for solving problems. A pattern language will create a new quality of society which is supported and carried by all people. And how this quality to be described or to be enabled on the one side is important to enable understanding, enabling simple access to answers for key problems, and that is what the patterns really can do very well. Or participation, by enabling an active implementation of the one best solution in many different ways. This freedom in implementing the pattern language in the way you want to do it is really an open door, an invitation to participate and to develop further the patterns. And thirdly, identification, by entitling people to actually build society through their work. You might know of this story. The cathedral in Vienna is being built. Someone walks by and is asked the people working on the cathedral, what are they doing? And one man said he is laying his bricks. Then he asked the second man the same question, and he said he was putting up a wall. And then he got to the third man and asked him what he was doing. He said he was building a cathedral. Pattern language invites us to have people experience this, to participate and to experience that they are participating in the building, in the solution, in developing of something big and something important. And then whole, alive and whole. And Alexander says the language, like a seed, is a genetic system which gives us millions of small acts, the power to form a whole. This is very fascinating. We live in a time with fake news, in a time where you have a society which is very split up, not unified, many different opinions, people battling each other. And Christopher Alexander has a vision of a society where people are all working together to form the one whole. It is quite fascinating to see what is all, what is all in this thing, what is a simple pattern, a pattern language, what has Alexander packed into this thing. And whole means supportive, by repairing the world around it and within it. It means generative, by being a source of life, and coherent. Alexander finds it very important that we enable coherence, when each part enables and supports the whole, and the whole enables and supports the part. So when we look at it together, a pattern is an entity with three dimensions. It's a universal solution with an affirming quality for the good of the whole. And why are patterns important today? We live in a time of social and cultural change. Alexander dramatizes this disruptive side of this accelerated process of change which we experience. He says, in a world which is unwhole and self-destroying, people cannot be alive. They will be inevitably themselves be self-destroying and miserable. We are grappling with disruptive forces which are fundamentally reshaping organizations, industries, and societies. We're going through dramatic changes in culture, society, technology, politics, and economy. Old patterns are losing their validity and relevance. And Alexander states the time when a pattern language was a song in which people could sing the whole of life is gone. The pattern languages in society are dead. They are ashes and fragments in the people's hands. Therefore, new patterns are needed and in demand. Leading successful change amidst a disruptive environment calls for new solutions and new patterns. Alexander, in a period when people have been robbed of their intuitions by specialists, when they no longer even know the simplest patterns that they were once implicit in their habits, it becomes necessary to make patterns explicit, precisely and scientifically, so that they can be shared in a new way. Therefore, we need a new approach which can generate such patterns, and the pattern language approach of Christopher Alexander serves this purpose. The interdisciplinary and participatory building blocks for societal change. And what is a pattern? We have spoken about an entity, universal solution with an affirming quality for the good of the whole, but what is at the core of a pattern? The inner structure. Alexander states, every pattern establishes a relationship between a context, a system of forces which arises in that context, and a configuration which allows these forces to resolve themselves in that context. That means the idea of a pattern is very simple. Context, problem, solution. It is an abstract pattern of physical relationships between a problem and a solution in a certain context, which resolves a small system of interacting and conflicting forces. And is independent of all other forces outside of this context. So we have these three elements: context, problem, solution. And the interesting is we go one little step further, we can transfer those and give those a new view. A what, a how, and a why. I was very motivated as I read this sentence from Fritjof Capra, where he says, I define meaning as the experience of context. And then for me it went boom. What, how, and why. The meaning. And if you put it all together, we have on the one side these very basic building blocks. What, how, and why. And they are embedded in something which is universal, something which yearns and reaches for a special quality, and something which wants to support and enable the whole. And that in a network of patterns. The composite particles of societal change. As you see over here, we were so motivated from this aspect of why and how and what do you say, let's say, what, how, and why, that we built these boxes, and for us it's almost like a piece of art. It's something which you would put up in front of every university. What are we doing here? And this is something which fascinates us, and which is also an invitation to go deeper and discover. Of course, it's a very simplified aspect of Christopher Alexander's pattern language approach. But it's something which somehow, in a time where we're looking for basic building blocks, something which fascinates and which really can be implemented, and which is being implemented by you in your different research projects. If you look at an example of the architecture, for an example, Christopher Alexander, pattern 140, the private terrace on the street. What is the problem? A confused relationship between outside and inside. What is the solution? A raised terrace with a low wall. And the why, the reason, the motivation, a good relationship between a house and a street. In the pedagogy, we also are looking for solutions where how can teaching, how can education, based on these very simple patterns, be developed and work on. And that's something which we've really been working on, and which Peter Baumgartner and his team has had a special focus on in the last couple of years. Or when you look at business models, Tina here, her speciality is business models. And for her person, it was also a light, an idea, boom, in this aspect of the 55 patterns of business models, that she also discovered this why, this how, and this what. And that's what we're doing here at PURPLSOC 2017. We're looking for problems to solutions. And these problems and these solutions are not just simple solutions, but they want to enable a world with a new quality. They want to enable a society where people can identify with this new world and understand this new world which is being developed. And that's what makes this PURPLSOC conference so special. One conference, 5 keynotes, and 48 solutions, which you will be able to listen to discuss about in the coming 2 or 3 days. The building blocks of societal change. Be it, how can patterns make better and more coherent business plans? Or how can patterns enable interactions designed for a partly automated car? Or how can patterns help create a good living environment for elder people in nursing home? Or how can patterns help revive empty city centers? This is fascinating. When people go to a thing and happen like this, a conference, then they expect a very focused topic. A very focused topic. A tiny little area of knowledge which is discussed about. And when you come to PURPLSOC or to PURL, then you discover something which encompasses all domains, where all domains can be at home. And that is something unique and something very special. And that is something which we can also experience here in these 3 days. Thank you very much for your attention, and we would like to kindly guide you through the next coming 3 days to really take your time to discuss with your neighbors, to discuss with different people in your different sessions, and give us all the opportunity to learn from each other. The pattern language approach is something very unique and very special, and at the moment it is something which only a few people comprehend or use, and we have a feeling that that will be changing in the future. And therefore it's very important for us all here to take our job earnest and to study, discuss, and learn from these kind of things. Thank you very much.